Welcome aboard Pizza Hut, where our legendary pan and stuffed crust pizzas will fly you to a world of flavors. Taste an all-American pizza sauce, juicy pepperoni, and farm-fresh mozzarella to discover America's mega pepperoni. Or explore the creamy pesto sauce. Chicken and mushrooms in the French creamy chicken mushroom. Fly far above the rest in taste and variety with 5 new pizzas. And thank you for flying, Pizza Hut.
Hello, welcome. It's Michigan's AutoTalk Podcast, episode 42, part 2 from Garage Kept Motors. I'm Phil Tower, reminding you every episode of Michigan's AutoTalk Podcast celebrates the automobile, the truck, everything automotive. We're also about helping and supporting you, car and truck owners and lovers across our great state of Michigan, birthplace of everything automotive. I'm here along with the 2 stars of the show, Al Schwinkendorf and John Puhek from Verberg's Automotive in Cascade, and we're a little bit, are we south of, we're southwest of Verberg's. We are at Garage Kept Motors. Been drooling a little bit, enjoying coffee. AJ's been a great host, and we wanted to, in this episode, guys, talk about trending vehicles, because AJ and I had a conversation before we recorded these, and I was talking about, what was it, Hondas, and I said, I was just wondering, Hondas and, just the mid-'80s, early '90s Hondas, they seem to be becoming more collectible. We know we're going to talk about this Hagerty Automotive, which does this every year, AJ. They come up with a bullet list, right? And they're trending roughly as top 10 trending vehicles.
What they think is going to be, the next vehicles to collect for the year. Yep.
And they've got an interesting list. Last year there was a Honda 67 to 70 Honda S600. Interesting. Love little
those. You can pick them up and carry them when they run
57 horsepower in that car. But this year it's an interesting list. The Suzuki Samurai is on there, 85 to 95. Cadillac Sedan DeVille is on there, 65 to 70. It's an interesting list, but the story I wanted you to tell for our listeners was the
93,
Civic, the 93 Honda Civic with an interesting end, and this ended up surprising you.
It did. So we have a repeat client out of Ohio who he's a collector. He's got some cool vehicles. He owns one of those chalets down there. Just some interesting stuff. And he sent me a 93 Civic hatchback with, I think it had like 60,000 miles on it. And he said, I want to get, $16,000 for this car. And I was like, that seems absurd. Like, why? No way. So since he's a, good customer, and, I just said, okay, we'll give it a shot. Put up for, I think, $19,900, and within a week it sold for full asking price to some guy who had to have it out of New York, and that just shocked me. I
think that's cool though, because you got people who want what they want, not what the magazines say they do. Because I've got 3 friends who, we all got our driver's licenses between 79 and 81, and got like mom's hand-me-down 76 Honda hatchback Civic. And they're like, God, I was in Arizona, and there was that silver with the red interior exactly like I used to have, and they wanted $7,500. What do you think? And I go, I can't buy any parts for it, period, because they're just all gone. However, if you want it and it's a solid car, and that's what people want, because I think your whole business is driven by nostalgia. Like you just mentioned this beautiful frickin' 32 Ford sitting behind us. I hope it doesn't have a Chevy in it. I hate when they do that. However,
I think it
can have a Hemi or it can have a Ford, but what? All I'm saying is it's a beautiful car.
Yeah.
And we talked about it earlier. It cost $100,000 to build.
Yep.
And it's for sale in the 40s.
Sold for 40.
Sold for 40.
Yep.
So somebody lost their butt, and somebody's got the new most beautiful thing in the world, and they can tell their wife, hey, I saved $60,000.
True.
That's 140%.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But the nostalgia thing is what drives all this. And that's cool. I mean, we have customers with wood-grained station wagon AMC Eagles from 1980s.
I love those. Those are cool.
And that's what they love, and that's what they got. And we've got, a guy with the 76 Vega station wagon, black with a red and white checkered plaid interior, ugliest thing you've ever seen. He loves it.
So fun to drive.
Old AMC, stuff like that. And that's what keeps us going and keeps it alive. So you just said it right there with the Honda.
Yep.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah. I bought a AMC wagon a few years ago and made it in my winter beater.
Yeah.
Wife hated it. I mean, she wouldn't drive in it.
And you smiled every day
I loved
driving
it.
to work.
It was so cool. It was so cool. But yeah, I love it. Yeah, you're right. It is the nostalgia, and it is, generational shift too of what was popular. Guys whose kids are going off to school now or out of the house and have some spare money. When they were a teenager, what cars were popular.
Heck yeah, and that's the way it should be.
Yep.
Get that car you always wanted.
Yep.
Well, and I know, I think Connor, your son Al, would know. Was it not Ken? Who's the drifter guy?
Ken Block.
Yeah. He just picked up was a station wagon, 1983, which is all souped up and done up right. And I don't know. He's been like the third guy or so in the big drifting world to do it, but they're almost going back to the square body 80 V-dubs, and they just tilt the camber way out and you go 180 down the corner sideways or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that market is also picked up because for that setup, you don't need it to be pristine. I just need, for the most part, the body because I want that kind of classic 80 look, like the old what was that, the half Ferrari that dominated the rally world before the Audi showed up, Lancia Stratos. It's that same kind of nostalgia where if you get that and then you wrap it in whatever monster energy drink, whatever crap you got running around there, but that looks really cool and vintage. And if you're going, rolling smoke around the corner, that's going to sell a lot too. So I mean, we had a couple customers that came in with I seriously thought the car was broke because when we threw it up on the hoist, the front struts were all pointed seriously at 45 or whatever, and I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, oh yeah, no, that's how you.
That's
turn.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, there is
with a walk around your shop.
Yeah.
Not a GM guy, but the coolest thing you got is the Vista Cruiser.
Yeah, the wagons.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
There's a guy in New Jersey who's got a blue Country Squire Ford station wagon on hydraulics. It doesn't have wire rims. It's got mags and low profiles, so it's kind of like Resto Rod looking thing, and it's got some crazy Ford twin turbo V6 Echo Boost or whatever they call them engine in it and stuff. And that's just like, I could drive that.
Yeah.
Throw the dog in the back and the kid. Yeah, there is a resurgence of the wagons for sure.
Yeah, Buick was making one for a little bit, and those are good looking vehicles.
Well, so I take the souped up Griswold.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So
I
want to ask you, AJ. I've got the Hagerty list in front of me, and there's some interesting cars on here. There's an '83 Mazda RX-7. Actually, it's 70 anything between 79 to 85 Mazda RX-7.
Yep.
When they ran
that RX-7 is right now number 2 value, which is pretty easy to get. I guess number 1 is perfect.
Yep.
Concourse, just beautiful. 17.5 to 27 grand for a car like that. But I know, and we've talked about this, those are hard to find.
They are.
They're very collectible. What are you seeing that's trending here, like at least in the last year or in early 2022? I mean, what are people on your list like?
Yeah, trending definitely Broncos. Any
Surprise!
Not necessarily the Bronco 2s. Those were kind of turds, but any first gen Broncos, whether it be all original or something that's been modified.
We've got OJ style.
We've got
OJ style.
Well, Gen 2, but the Gen
that
1s we've got 2 customers who want to put like modular motors in them and do all that, and anything just out on the road in West Michigan, and anywhere around here that I've been lately, if you've got the second generation, like I don't know what it is, 1980 and up, if it's white, major bonus. But people are buying those and driving them, and we've had people from New Jersey and New York that have come to the shops in Grand Rapids and bought them and wanted us to go through them and take them just because. And it's just like, the new Bronco is cool in a weird kind of way, but I don't care if it's 2022. You drive something with a soft top down the highway, that makes me insane. But if they would take the modern F-150 and make the hard top Bronco, and I think that would be a huge seller.
Yeah. I think those Broncos, if I'm not mistaken, they all were going to come with hard tops, but they all got recalled.
Well, the recalled, or they couldn't make them because of the manufacturing process.
Got it.
So that's why all you see is soft tops.
Yeah, but I just mean if they based them off the F-150 instead of doing the nostalgic thing. But we saw the one that we're getting right now as a prototype probably 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
It took them that long to build it. And
I remember
they're
that.
cool, and they're expensive, and they're everything else, and people just, they want them. They buy them up.
I just feel bad for the people, because the guy that bought it a long time ago, once he takes that brick-shaped vehicle down the highway with a soft top. I mean, you thought a Wrangler with a hard top was loud and screaming?
Yeah.
Let's throw some 35s on, a brick and a cloth top going down I-96. You're going to be deaf, and by the time you get to Grand Haven.
But if that's what they want, that's what they're going to do.
Exactly.
Got to take the back roads. Don't do the highway.
Just go 55, and you'll save your hearing.
You got a soft top here, which I'm looking at on the website. As we record this, it may be gone, but it's a 68 Ford Bronco. It's got 87 miles on the new 351 that's in it. It's a beautiful car, and it's got... That was stock. They used to sell it that way, right? With a soft top?
Oh, yep. That's how they used to sell. I mean, it's got a lift on it. It's got, everything underneath that thing's brand new.
Yeah, it's a sweet looking vehicle.
I mean, that in the price point, which is just shy of $100,000, that's what they're selling for.
Isn't that crazy? And that thing was what, $3,200 brand new,
Probably.
Totally decked out.
Yep.
Totally decked out.
Yeah. What else do you see that people like?
Awesome Olds W30. Come on, baby.
W30.
We were talking about this off air.
Yep.
This is my
those
dream.
are cool. I mean, anything muscle car, 65 to 73 American muscle car is still very popular. You saw it at the Mecum auctions last weekend. I mean, first gen Camaros selling for big money. But I mean, as far as like the generational shift goes, G body Monte Carlos, Cutlasses, Fox body Mustangs. We haven't had one in here for a minute, but anytime we get one of those in,
they're gone
instantly.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it's the ultimate go-kart, big engine, small car.
Yep.
Do you see any vehicles or brands that are a little bit more regional where for a while we saw a bunch of people that came and we got vehicle inspections. They're buying it from Michigan and they're from California, or the other way around. Normally it was always you go south to buy the good car because there's no rust.
True.
But we saw a fair amount of people coming from the south
to buy
up north to buy cars. Are you seeing?
Yeah, that's a fun conversation with people who on the phone, because they're like, oh yeah, you're up in the Rust Belt. This thing's all rusted out. And my response usually is, well, we don't drive these cars in the winter. We don't. I mean, taking that W30 out right now, that'd be a sin. That'd be a sin. So we don't do that. So usually, November through April, we put them inside, put a tender on it, keep it nice and warm for the winter, and we bring them out in the summertime. Now, the wagons, the Broncos, the stuff that would be driven in the wintertime in Michigan with salt would be, they're gonna have rust underneath them. But some of the the higher end cars, we don't do that. But to your point, to your question, we sell majority of the cars, out of Michigan. They do go to California, Texas. A lot of those trucks end up in Texas.
What's the most remote sale you've had farthest away?
The most remote?
Brazil. No.
I did sell some cars to Brazil.
Wow, that's cool.
The most remote. Dubai was pretty. I mean, we sold a few cars over there. They got some money over there.
Yeah, they got some money.
Yeah, China.
Just a little.
Yeah, selling a lot of cars recently to Alaska.
Okay.
And it's like $4,000 to $5,000 to ship a car to Alaska.
They're really big.
What are they looking at?
We just sold a Zuzu Via Cross to a guy in Alaska, which I think that would probably be one that's going to show up on Hagerty's list. Those things are kind of cool. We've had a lot of people fly in and drive the Westy campers back up to Alaska.
Fools.
Fools.
Yeah. Well, no, but I had relatives that worked at Oldsmobile and Ford, and the people at Oldsmobile were higher up, and we're kind of like spoiled because if you were over 65 and you lived in anywhere from Grand Haven to probably Ann Arbor, if you didn't have a Cadillac or a Lincoln, you drove an Oldsmobile. And they were big in Arizona because it was all the snowbirds going down there. They were big in certain parts of California and here and there. But for the rest of the world, I mean, when they shut down Oldsmobile, it was just like shock and awe. It's just like, why are you closing that down? It's just because our markets are so stereotypical and they're so spread thin. And for us, it's like normal. So when you get on the web and you hear these people talk about whatever, a Cutlass or my personal favorites were the big old 98s and stuff like that, the big old cruisers and stuff, and people go nuts for them because they just didn't have them, They didn't, Colorado didn't sell many Oldsmobiles. They had like 3 dealers and they sold like very few cars compared to the rest of the world, but every region is a little bit different. And for us, I mean, there were Oldsmobiles everywhere. I took driver's ed in Oldsmobiles. My neighbors had everybody had frickin' Oldsmobiles. It's just the way it was,
One of the cars on the list that we were talking about before we started recording this episode, which got a rise out of Mr. Puhek, was the 85 to 95 Suzuki Samurais. I kind of laughed at that, but apparently that is a thing. That's the rag top.
People are modifying them, putting bigger wheels on them.
I was going to say a stock one would be super, super rare. We used to do Tough Trucks, which was like a sideshow for the Monster Truck series. And in the winters, we got paid fuel money to go to the arenas. We go to Minneapolis. We go to the Silverdome. We go to the Astrodome. We go, and do all that. And TNN, when that was a thing on cable, would record it. And we all got our butts kicked by a guy he had like 3 of them, because if he rolled one, he'd just bring out the other one for the next show. He had Samurais. And he put turbo Buick V6s in them and like had 20 inches of suspension travel, and that thing was just like a little Tonka toy. It would just jump and go over everything, and he kicked our butt week in and week out all over the country.
That's cool.
63 horsepower, 4-cylinder.
Yeah, that's the original.
Exactly, original.
Yeah, people are putting bigger motors in those. Yeah, they're cool.
Collectible price point. When you bought that new $6,900, they're going for up to $15,000 if they're in good shape. So not surprising to see that.
Now, within the last couple of years, I guess I should say at the current time, we're hopefully at the tail end of the COVID process, but fingers crossed, I should say.
Yeah.
With all that, are you seeing more of an influx on the online walk-ins? How was business?
Yeah.
Because obviously we're not looking at basic cars. We're looking at beautiful. This is a toy, not a daily driver.
Yep.
How is that?
I think when the pandemic first hit, we were kind of nervous. Like, hey, we got to shut the shop down. But actually, we were working from home, and we're still selling. We sold a ton of cars in that time frame, and it was all online. And I've continued.
They've got time to sit in front of the computer.
I got nothing else to do.
And a lot of people now are working from home. And you can have up on the screen the classic car website, so your boss isn't behind your shoulder checking out what you're looking at. I think it's still. I think it's still, and just the auction prices are driven up. Like the Bring a Trailer websites. Prices still are continuing to climb for some of these collector type vehicles, and we've seen the same.
Gotcha. Do you think that bubble's gonna pop?
I don't know.
I mean, hopefully not for your case. You can keep
it's tough to say. I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell you what what that car is going to be worth in 5-10 years. I don't know. It's kind of like strike while the iron's hot. Let's sell some vehicles and we tell that to people too. It's like, hey, I think I'm going to bring my vehicle over, in the spring. This conversation with people in the fall is like, well, don't know what the market will be in the spring, but right now it's pretty hot. So if you want to do something, let's do it now.
Yeah, and it's just like we talked about, and you said this, people want what they want. And you know what? As long as you don't pay stupid for it,
people will pay stupid though because it's from the heart. But you're right, and it's the prices are going to be what they are. And we have customers who are serious collectors and follow those trends, but most people don't. They buy one car. They've got their family cars and stuff, and they have one Saturday go get ice cream car. And if the price is right and it's the right vehicle for them, they go for it, and that's what it is, and prices be damned. When you talk to these museum people and the guys that are drinking too much and the big bidders at the big auctions on TV, that you hear the interviews with them, and sometimes they'll buy a car just because they don't want the guy bidding against them to have it, and that's just stupid money. And they'll pay the price if the market crashes and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, people who, like we've always said, it's the story behind the car and then their story about why they want that particular car, because Grandma had that maroon 68 Mustang that they always wanted. And it's one of those things. It's like, what's the difference between that and spending $10,000 going on a vacation that 2 weeks later you forgot about, and it's all said and done?
Well, and I think a lot of people, and we're seeing this with everything, vacation homes, we got a lot of older people who are passing on, have car collections, have lake homes, and maybe the kids don't want them. So I think there's going to be a boom coming up with more of these vehicles being liquidated. And people,
you don't know how big that is. The people where the kids have the opportunity to take the car and they go, what in the hell would I want a 1964 Chevy for?
Yep.
What the hell?
Yep.
And so they just sell it and split the money. Yeah. And I will tell you that probably in 1992, 94, Verberg and I took a day off because the good guys who are the biggest old school hot rods, like the 32 Fords and the T-Buckets and stuff like that, had their national event down in Kalamazoo. So we took Friday afternoon off and we went down there, and everybody who had all those cars that are in the magazines and on the TV shows and stuff like that, they were all 75, 80 years old. They wanted that 34 coupe when they were 16, and 70 years later they finally had the money after they sold their business and got the house paid off and everything else to do it, and those are the ones that did it.
But you said those cars are trending down.
Like
because of age, I think.
Yeah, because
those
age.
people
I
are
mean,
dead.
even up to like the Tri-5 Chevys. I mean, those were, when I started in this business,
huge.
Over a decade ago, those were the hot. I mean,
I don't know if I even saw one in here.
We just
got
moved out of,
maybe.
Yeah, one of them. But those were knocking on the door of $100,000, and now for a clean original example, it's like 45, 50 grand. So
Okay.
But so is what's the age of your average buyer
for
anything? It's gone up, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I'd say 55 to 75 in that range.
It's not 35-year-olds that can come in and have kids and a mortgage and stuff.
Not usually.
That can buy
No,
it.
well, they're not buying older stuff.
Yeah,
they're buying like a 2008 Viper or something.
Right,
like
because it's a fraction of what it was.
Well, sure.
When
Who
it was
hasn't
new.
done that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Fast and Furious effect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's definitely that's definitely out there. We're going to put the wraps on this.
We got one quick thing we got to talk about.
Ahead.
Future show.
Okay, good.
2 weeks ago, I was invited to our listener from Belgium's wedding in northern Illinois.
Okay.
I put almost 1,100 miles on a Toyota Sienna hybrid van. And that's the most I've ever really driven a hybrid, and we got some stuff to talk about. So that's a future episode.
Okay.
Just so you know.
We'll do that. I thought we were going to Belgium.
No.
So,
that's where I thought that was going.
AJ, this has been great. Thank you so much for hosting us. GarageKeptMotors.com.
GarageKeptMotors.com. Yep.
Beautiful website. Beautiful. The showroom is beautiful. The customer service area will even rival that of Verberg's Automotive. It's
That's not sharp. Saying much, just so we're all clear.
And you rolled out the red carpet for us. So this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, sure has.
Thank you so much. Episode 42 in the books. Thank you to AJ from Garage Kept Motors. Thank you to everyone who's been listening. Until next time, for Michigan's Auto Talk Podcast, I'm Phil Tower.
Al Schwinkendorf.
I'm Batman. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.